Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Tonight is going to be an interesting video, but I did a poll and it seemed like everybody was interested in hearing more about this experience. Well, I guess I just want to express to you what I saw in a vision. I saw this kind of in one of my shamanic type of experiences in which I will take a psychedelic or I will do marijuana in order to gain some deeper insight and go deeper into my subconscious. So I was able to do this just a few nights ago, actually, and I had this amazing experience that I want to share with you all because it really helped me kind of understand what's going on. And it just put a lot of things into perspective for me and true clarity, really. So besides whatever happened recently in our events in America and in the world, all we see is chaos and order, this dance of light and dark. And we see that happening, but there's something beyond that, something that actually quantum physicists have theorized on, and it's called the infinite universe theory. And I wanted to give you a little bit of a background on it before I go into my own experience, so you can kind of understand what it's really about. Actually, Stephen Hawking, he came up with the theory right before he passed away. So it was really interesting for me to see this because I had this vision this night, and I basically came out of the vision and I started searching for, well, is there any way to prove this? Is there any way to prove that there are infinite universes? And since I've seen them more, I had this experience of understanding more how they work on a consciousness level, then I started looking for ways to kind of prove it. And I realized, like, there's no way that I can actually prove it mathematically. But Stephen Hawking and Thomas Hertog actually came up with this theory. And it says this: Stephen Hawking's last theory is based on string theory, one of the frameworks that attempts to reconcile general relativity with quantum theory by replacing the point-like particles in particle physics with tiny vibrating one-dimensional strings. In string theory, the holographic principle proposes that a volume of space can be described on a lower dimensional boundary. So the universe is like a hologram in which physical reality in 3D spaces can be mathematically reduced to 2D projections on their surfaces. The researchers developed a variation of the holographic principle that projects the time dimension in eternal inflation, which allowed them to describe the concept without having to rely on general relativity. This then allowed them to mathematically reduce eternal inflation to a timeless state on a spatial surface at the beginning of the universe, a hologram of eternal inflation. In 1983, Hawking and another researcher, physicist James Hartle, proposed what is known as the no-boundary theory, or the Hartle-Hawking state. They proposed that prior to the Big Bang, there was space, but no time. So the universe, when it began, expanded from a single point, but doesn't have a boundary. According to the new theory, the early universe did have a boundary, and that's allowed Hawking and Hertog to derive more reliable predictions about the structure of the universe. We predict that our universe on the largest scales is reasonably smooth and globally finite. So it is not a fractal structure, Hawking said. It's a result that doesn't disprove multiverses, but reduces them to a much smaller range, which means that multiverse theory may be easier to test in the future if the work can be replicated and confirmed by other physicists. Hertog plans to test it by looking for gravitational waves that could have been generated by eternal inflation, and these waves are too large to be detected, but future gravitational wave interferometers, such as space-based LISA, LISA, and future studies of the cosmic microwave background may reveal them. So the reason why that was really special to me was because I actually kind of got a vision of what that would mean to each of us on a consciousness level. So you have to go into the idea of idealism, not in everything's great and you're hoping for the best, but it is the philosophy that everything is really from the mind. Like all we have is our perceptions, and that's really what we do, is we take in the world and the universe into our eyes and through our certain filter and processes in our mind, and we reflect on it and we process it. And then that's how we experience our life and this universe. So I am coming from an idealism philosophical point of view when I talk about my experience. And I believe that's just because I was in a state where I was really deep inside of my own subconscious and in my own mind. And also just because I understand that things really do work on a consciousness level, and that's really the most important to us in terms of our experiences. So this was an interesting theory that came about by Stephen Hawking before he passed away. And one of the Palladium messages in March 26, 1975, so before Stephen Hawking came up with his theory, she actually left a message saying this to Billy Meyer in 75. The visible universe with which the human deals is but a tiny spot within this wonderful, endless spiritual intelligence of creation. Countless billions universes like this are held within the endless spiritual intelligence of creation. What is visible to the human's physical eyes is only but a tiny iota within endlessness. What he cannot see with his eyes is immeasurable for the unspiritual human intelligence and mental capacity. The entire universe, which sees, is but one of many rooms and must be counted as myriads, because there are universes within universes, universes beyond universes, universes under universes, universes above universes, and universes within this almighty, colossal, and all-creative spiritual intelligence of the creation's existence. And the human and all beings are connected with this mighty spirit, with these elemental powers of existence, creation, spiritual intelligence, because a fragment of this spirit intelligence, creation, dwells within and enlivens the human as spirit. Its power, its joy, its peace, its freedom, its wisdom, its knowledge, and its ability are unimaginable for people that are spiritually ignorant or illogical, or for critics who believe they know it all, and for those even who have been led or gone astray by choice. So they don't believe in an outside existence outside of this world or this life. And only a human who knows this truth and produces knowledge and wisdom and love from it is a blessed human. They know the answer to the last questions of science, of philosophy, and also of the wandering human. But in order to become such a blessed human, it is required to search for and find the truth, to gain knowledge, wisdom, and love from it. For the human is only able to spiritually grow in truth, knowledge, wisdom, and love, whereby he will be freed from all human frailties. The human is enlightened and fully freed only if they, in their thoughts, constantly and consciously dwells in the endless creative reality. So I want to show you this picture here, and when I go into my kind of experience. You're going to kind of see this here. So this picture, as you see, is just kind of the idea of infinite universes and parallel universes. Well, watch what happens when you get to the 11th dimension, which is this creative intelligence that we are bound by and that we are almost like inside of. Everything else is inside of this creative intelligence. And so this is the 11th dimension that physicists have discovered. So I'm going to share this picture with you here so you can see it, and then I'll talk about my experience with you. There it is. So that sphere is what actually Michio Kaku talks about as the M theory. This is the 11th dimension. And he says this: we start to ask the question, who lives in the 11th dimension? We have intersecting membranes. We have membranes with holes in them, and we have membranes that look like donuts. We are just littered with different kinds of membranes. So like a brain, you know, the membrane of the brain. This 11th dimension not only had the sphere or bubble-like object that they discovered through theory and other ways that physicists do, but it had a whole wealth of varying membranes of different dimensions. And each of these membranes was a possible universe. So it's like all the infinite universes are contained within this 11th dimension, which is inside of this structure that's a sphere or a bubble-like object. Each of these membranes was a possible universe, and the other universes are parallel or quite close to ours, but we would never be aware of them. So the 11th dimension contains all infinite multiverses within this sphere of membranes working together, connecting together, bringing into existence a greater understanding of reality by unity of being held within this structure that you see that is called the 11th dimension, which is not where you see kind of infinite space in all directions, but on a very real level, we're actually all tightly knit inside of this membrane, this larger membrane. So that's the 11th dimension that you see. So my experience with this, have you ever heard of the idea that we are all the universe experiencing ourselves? And you may have heard about it and you're thinking like, okay, so we're all the universe together and we're experiencing ourselves spiritually as a limited being for a temporary time. But what I had a vision of when I went into this deep state and I tried to kind of just, you know, just relax and just go into my subconscious, and I immediately was brought to the state where I started to understand that each of us really are our own universe within this larger 11th dimension that is holding us together. So whatever force you want to call it, basically we're all individual universes on a consciousness level that's inside of this larger membrane, and that's the unifying factor between us all. That is the unification of everything, basically, I saw. Well, what's really fascinating about the idea that we are our own universe experiencing life is that each of us have a theme to our universe. And this is what causes people to understand each other, people to kind of click with each other and, you know, become friends or become lovers and have a life with each other, versus those that never really click, never really understand each other. It's because the movement inside of the sphere of infinite dimension and shape. I mean, you have to really imagine something that's just so large for us to even understand. But it's all of us basically moving in our different ways and energetically. So some universes, as we see, it's like a reflection of our own self. Like when you look at galaxies, the way that they either collide into each other, like it said that Andromeda is one day going to collide with the Milky Way. So in many ways, our universes are either colliding with each other and creating new universes, which is a child, because that baby in reproduction becomes a new universe within this multi-universal theory of infinity. It is because of reproduction. Because every time two universes come together, they basically make another universe. And so that's the idea of this infinite universes and where they come from. They come from actually the way that life is reproduced. Now, this is only on a consciousness level, but what I'm saying is that in all these books of, alchemy and mysticism and all these really deep esoteric occultism types of wisdoms, you will always hear the microcosm is a reflection of the macrocosm. So you have to think that every time that you look up into the sky and you look at the universe and you watch, videos on the universe, you are actually seeing your own little universe, basically, through your eyes. So each one of us can figure out the theme of their universe. And what that does is it is a theme of emotional experience that carries through your life and how you see the universe that you live in, which is ultimately a reflection of you and how you feel. So I did an experiment with my husband. I said, and I can ask you right now, write down one word that describes the universe to you. Just write down one word right now. I would love to hear it. Because I asked my husband, and I tested this out with myself first, and it made so much sense. And then I tested my husband, and then he agreed through this process of talking about it that his theme, if he had to describe the universe, the way that he sees the universe in one word is life. That's all he said, was just life. And so within that universe, like a story that we read, which is a reflection of the macrocosm and the microcosm, when we read stories, we always have a protagonist and an antagonist. And the protagonist is always usually the character that is basically doing the experience. And the antagonist is the opposite type of energy, basically, that is a challenge. So I asked my husband, okay, so you think of the universe in one word as life. So that means that your theme in this world, like in your own life and the way that you see the universe, is life. So his antagonist is death. So that means that everything in this world that represents death, he will feel he has to fight against, he has to be challenged by, he has to run from, he has to overcome, he has to do something in order to overcome the antagonist in the story of your theme of the universe. And the protagonist part of you is what you see in the world. So he sees that life is evolving. He sees that people are just living life. I mean, you could basically take that word and insert it into everything that he feels about this world. And I have one word that I see the universe as, and basically if I had to describe the universe, I would describe it as love. So I see the world unfolding towards love. I see the universe representing love. And this can be basically demonstrated and expressed in many ways, because a word is only just a theme. And then, like a story, it can evolve from that word. So it's just a theme. So some of you wrote down, let's see if you have any words that you can think. Experience. So Maya, if your word for the universe is experience, that means that through your life, experience is basically how you see life, and how you judge others is just understanding that they're all just experiencing. So there's really no judgment in you, because you see everything as an experience, and you see the universe as having an experience, which is you, because it's the macrocosm to the microcosm. It's the big universe that's coming through your eyes into the microcosm, which is you. So the way that you see the universe is how you're going to also experience your life in this world. That is your theme of life. We are in stories. we are the narrators, and we are each our own individual universe because of how we experience things on our own, through our own consciousness and through our own eyes. So yours is experience, Maya. So the opposite of that, the antagonist, would be something that oppresses experience. So you must be very against those that take away maybe the freedom for experience, or those that judge others' experiences. That's your antagonist of your theme of this universe. And so mine is, since it's love, my antagonist is fear. So I am trying to, fight fear. I am trying to be challenged by my own fear. Everything is about fear for me, because fear, although hate is also known as the opposite of love, fear, to me, it just makes more sense on a personal level, that I would fight more so the fear or the ignorance of others that causes hate. Because if you go into fear, you might see how hate stems from fear, because we sometimes hate things that we don't understand. So fear is the opposite. And so that's my antagonist. That's what I see as the black hole, the devourer of planets. I see that fear could destroy this world. Maya, you probably see that oppression of experience could destroy this world. And ultimately, it could be a black hole for your own galaxy that you might experience, and understanding the way that things are destroyed. And this is how I'm starting to understand this microcosm into the macrocosm. We are quite literally our own universes, and we are experiencing ourselves, but we belong to a greater, I guess, a unity, a unifying field that holds us together within this bubble-like structure. So this is the bubble-like structure that many might feel the presence within all things, because it's moving through all universes. It's basically containing all possible worlds and multiverses inside of it. This is what people have looked towards, that is called God, and this is maybe what you may feel inside of you, that you devote yourself to, because all multiverses, all infinite universes that are created, are held inside of this higher dimension of the 11th dimension. And so this is the membrane that you see, and yet there are other membranes inside of it, and we are all universes. And what we do, as Michio Kaku said, is that universes actually interconnect. They lock in with each other. So how I explained it to my husband is like, the reason why my husband and I met is because, and we connected and we got married, is because his universe and his theme matches mine. So now we can lock together and we can become an enfoldment of that membrane that they're talking about in the 11th dimension. We are not separate universes. We would be if our themes did not match and if we just felt like we couldn't really fit together. But because our membranes on a consciousness level are actually interlocking, which causes us to be in each other's lives and be married to each other, it means that his theme of his whole universe and my theme of my whole universe actually goes together, because life and love can go together, because where there is love, there is life. There is a life-giving principle with the energy of love. So the way that our universes interlock and our membranes connect on the 11th dimension is how we are able to sustain a physical experience and relationship in this world. So people that you do not get along with are those that are in their separate universes from you. You are not interlocking with them. Your membrane is not connecting to them on a very high dimensional level of consciousness that we cannot see, but that physicists are starting to figure out, because there are 10 dimensions, but there's one temporal dimension of space. So there's 11 dimensions. So the highest dimension, the 11th dimension, is basically where you have all the laws, if that makes sense. Although all different universes have different laws, and they can have different laws of physics, it's like it's the story basically has been introduced on that level of singularity. And we are constantly creating new universes within this 11th dimension, within this membrane of the 11th dimension. But if you don't get along with people, it's because your theme of your universe is not the same. So you're not interlocking in this lifetime, but that's not to say that in another universe, in another parallel universe, which is the multi-universal theory, that you're not getting along with that person or have a different type of theme that would match theirs. It's just your story right now. And so we should never feel bad about those that we can't, make love us or understand us, because it just means that they just have a different theme. They're quite literally looking at the universe through different eyes than you, or they see the world in a different way, because your story is not theirs. So they're not going to be a character within your story, and you're not going to be a character within their story, because your membranes are not interlocking, and they're not going to mingle with each other. So this is the vision that I had. I actually did see my husband having infinite universes, and then our universe in this lifetime was interlocking. And then through that interlocking, it created a new universe. So I don't know if we're going to have a child, but it just was a symbol of basically what can happen when we reproduce. We are quite literally bringing in a whole new universe. And this is what helps move, I guess, this is what grows the universal theory of the idea of the infinite universes. We have infinite universes because we have this ability to reproduce on a physical level, but it makes sense on the macro level of the cosmos. So that was my experience. And I tell you, it just helped me so much understand that there are people that will never, ever understand you. There are people that will not get you in this lifetime. And that is okay, because it just means that you have a different theme to your universe, and they have a different theme, and it is all good, because that means that in another parallel, you probably get along. There is absolutely no worries ever to have with those that might not like you, might not understand you. And this was a way to just get rid of all fear within me, and basically just kind of understand the infinite nature of things and understand what are physicists talking about with the 11 dimension. Great. So you figured out that everything is incorporated inside of this 11-dimensional bubble right here. Wonderful. But how does that relate consciously to us? Well, it's because each of our universes fit inside of this larger membrane that holds us together. How beautiful is that? That unifying theory of everything. Everything in the entire existence that we can think of is right here. And there's no way that I can prove it, but I showed you, hopefully through just an experience that I had, kind of a mystical experience going through this like subconscious. And I would say that the subconscious is your ancient memories in many ways. You know, Alan Watts said that the monsters and the divine are inside the subconscious. So it is your ancient memories, and ancient before space-time. And so when you tap into that part of yourself, you may remember this place of singularity if you allow yourself to go to that state. But that's what I did the other night, and it was wonderful. And although, and I want to tell you something, because I know a lot of people are concerned, and I've had some comments like, oh, you know, if you're so spiritual, why are you talking about politics? Well, consciousness is like an elevator. So we have basically 11 dimensions, and we have the 7 chakra levels that we know of on Earth. But there's, if you want to relate the dimensional experience of what physicists have figured out to the experience of perception and perspective of understanding the grand unifying theory of everything. So the 11th dimension is the unifying theory of everything and understanding. I mean, basically, it's like a state of nirvana, total enlightenment, but it's not consistent. Consciousness is like it's an elevator. You can take it down and you can go all the way back down. And what I find is that I make a conscious decision a lot of times to come back down to the lower levels of consciousness so that I can help. You know, I can talk about things that people are still worried about. You're still worried about 3D things like politics or these organizational ideas of religion. It's very 3D. And so I come back down from this place and I can join others in talking about them. But you never have to fear about being a spiritual person and moving yourself into the higher dimensions of perspectives and then coming back down, because it's just an elevator ride. That's all. It's just pressing a button and coming back down. And you do it with just changing your perspective and your angle of focus. Basically, I started to change my perspective towards the politics and the political problem in America. So I came back down from the 11th dimension after this experience and then experienced myself in the 3D, you know, experiencing myself like fighting within that. But I would say it's more like, well, 4th dimension is temporal. It's just time. So 3D is still that physical kind of archaic old world. And then the 5th dimension, so 4th dimension is like a wormhole of time. And then the 5th dimension is basically into the new systems on a new planet together, you know, focusing on more of advanced technology, advanced ways of dealing with each other and, you know, just living in a state that aligns to our higher consciousness that we are evolving to. So you never have to worry about being a spiritual person and then being focused also on earthly matters. You can do it because it's the macro and the micro. You're just basically taking your consciousness from the macro and you're bringing it down into the micro. And so that's all it is just that switch, and it's just a focus. So you never have to, you know, worry about me or even worry about yourself, like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking of these things. Well, if you are thinking of those things, then it's something that still is in your focus. You're still thinking about them, or you're trying to help in your own way, bringing forwards your new perspectives from a higher place too. So yeah, think about that, I guess, is the elevator consciousness, and you can then choose basically where you reside. Are you in the infinite universe, multiverse dimension of understanding how all things are unified and connect together? Or can you move back down to experience division within your own little world, how you see just the world? So it's really just your choice of where you want to experience life from. And that's why it's like an elevator going up and down. And really, it's just all about your focus. But if you can figure out the theme of your universe, there's no way that I can prove this, but I felt this, I guess, this clarification within my own life. Like, why have I had challenges, or what is this opposition that I experience? Versus, I'm going to give you true secret right now. I mean, I don't know if it's connected to The Secret or the idea of elven magic that Tolkien talked about, but my world, in terms of the way that I perceive the world and the way that you perceive the world, my life has basically showed me this unfoldment of the way that I have always thought the world to be. And since my theme is love, guess what? I am experiencing that. I am focused, and I am drawn to stories of seeing this evolution and this unfoldment towards love. And I see the other things, but because my theme is love, it's the greater theme that basically, I guess, envelops everything else in the world. So whatever your theme is, be it life or experience, and think about this, if you're in a state of pessimism, okay? So if you're in a state of pessimism and you're asked to find one word to describe the world or the universe, you may come up with a word that's like bleak, or or doomed, or pointless. What will happen is that is going to shift your perspectives, and you will actually have that as a theme of your life. Like, that's how you will see the world. Not only will you see the world that way, but you'll see the universe that way, that it's pointless, that it's random, that there's really no matter to it. So be careful with coming up, I guess, with your theme, because your theme is what drives the perspective and experience of the world to you, inside of your own consciousness. Now, this, I have to thank dear J.R.R. Tolkien in the Silmarillion. In the Silmarillion, where he talks about Eru Ilúvatar, he talks about how Eru Ilúvatar had a theme. And the theme through music was created. Now, that can get into string theory, the idea of vibrations and frequencies, creating a symphony or discord. So I have to thank J.R.R. Tolkien for helping me remember this and bringing me into the state of understanding about themes. Each one of you is like Eru, where it is your theme of how you perceive and experience the world. And not only the world, but the whole universe. So whatever your theme is, that's how you will experience it. And your themes can change. They definitely can change, because even though you may feel that your theme is pointless right now, just because of the state of mind that you're in, if you have some type of life experience and you have some type of new revelation, then your theme will slowly change It's not static. These universes are not, static. They're constantly changing and growing, and you're showing that. So, and you see that within your own life, it's the macro to the micro. So as you change, the world will change. The way that you experience the world will change. And then the universe will change. And the way that you might just get a sign that you're in flow with this new theme is if you start hearing news or stories that support your theme that you were thinking of. Like I said, if my theme is love, then I am constantly inundated by news articles and by stories of between humans that support that theme. And so you will also have some kind of support through this theme because it helps not create cognitive dissonance, which is basically what keeps you in reality and in a place where you have this sane understanding and understanding and clarity of reality. So because of this law of cognitive dissonance and alignment, you will constantly always be supported in your theme that you believe the universe to be. Just think of one word, and that will show you where you are. And it will bring you this new experience, and you'll kind of understand things on a higher level. So I hope that this helped you. And now you can think about one word that you would like to become your theme in not only your life, but to see in your universe grow and expand towards whatever that theme is that you believe. And so I think this really helped me. And it just opened up so many different portals of understanding within me, and really just helped me understand, the 11th dimension and what it all means to us. How does it apply to our consciousness? And I hope that it helps you too. So let's go to some comments. Do you guys resonate with this? Have you explored your theme yet? And have you experienced this already, maybe? Cameron, the video's in and out, so you're out. Take care. Oh, I'm sorry. Hopefully was everybody okay? I hope that you could hear me. It might be Facebook if you're watching it from Facebook. I heard that they were having issues because I'm double filming this, basically. Siren of the Void, that really makes me seek to fully understand what a universe really is. Yeah, because the infinite universe theory that Stephen Hawking and many physicists are understanding is that, well, what I really liked about the Stephen Hawking's theory is that there's a finite amount of universes, in the idea that we can only contain the universes that are attached to all souls. So, because every single person is their own universe, or has their own universe, basically, and we're creating something together. But that's the finite universe idea, is that you will not have more universes to how many souls there are, that they have to be perfectly aligned in ratio to each other. So when I heard that he said that that's how we are dealing with more of a smaller number and understanding, it's because each soul in this universe is basically an extension of another universe. So yeah, it's really interesting when you learn more about the infinite universe theory and about what the universes are. Maya, so what happens when today's youth become so distraught by what this world is now and decide not to procreate because they see no sense in bringing babies into this world? I would say that their theme is doom, not seeing the brighter, I guess, the brighter pathway to their own world and to the universe, you know. So it really is about them kind of just changing that theme, and it really comes from looking within, as the Palladians suggest. It is really about being connected to everything inside and being consciously connected to this 11th dimension, whatever this sphere is, being connected to the source that is holding us all together. And so in some ways, religion is very important, or a sense of spirituality is very important, because it can give you this sense of a greater connection to something bigger, which is, there is something bigger than our one single universe. It's all our universes put together. That's the bigger force that basically we're worshiping, or that we might feel, you know, a draw to connect to. It's because it's all of our universes that exist right now together. So whenever I said in my videos, like at the higher level, that's all of us, what we call a creator, what we call God, this is what I was really meaning, is that it's not all of us as a single, I guess, soul on earth, but it's all of our universes actually put together. This is a very large power. And so it would help people, I think, to definitely rethink of, you know, what do they want to see in life? But we can never force anybody. We can only educate them, Maya. So that's all we can really do. Makes you think of inspire. Is inspire the word for you, Siren of the Void? Inspire. Well, that would be a really wonderful theme, because it just means that everything that you look at inspires you, or that you really value inspiring, or you see that planets can inspire each other, like in terms of their civilizations and their beings can inspire others. So that definitely could be a theme. And then what would be the antagonist of inspire would be, I guess, apathy, not caring, right? Wouldn't that be the opposite of inspire? Yeah, that's true, Niren. You can definitely conspire towards love, but love is, to me, I guess, a force that cannot be forced or like manipulated. And so conspiracy sometimes means strategizing or manipulation in some kind of way. So to me, it's more of a natural state. I like to, that's probably why I experience nature as love. And some people might look at nature and not ever see that. It's because internally, that's my theme. So because that's my theme, that's how I experience nature. So decide what your theme is, and then that's how you'll experience nature. That's how you experience everything, basically. And then you go from there. I don't have a name here, but I see this showed me I like control and to win, since that's what came to mind. I definitely learned something. Yeah, play with that theme, explore it further. I would love people to just explore. This is really a video about inspiring you towards self-contemplation and going really deep inside of yourself. And you could do it with tools of nature, like psychedelics, but you could also do it on your own, just meditating, you know, just taking some time and slowing down and discovering that theme for yourself, or your theme in the world. And if you have a theme about win, that means that you see everything as a competition. And then the antagonist of that might be control, controlling the competition, you know, so explore that. And we have a decision there. We can basically come back down from the 11th dimension of consciousness and experience ourselves as a, I guess, having a role within that theme. So what it means is that you have a choice. You can either just be loving awareness and let everything happen within your universe, within your world, or you have a choice to come back down and put yourself into a role, taking sides, fighting for what you believe, and experiencing yourself in that role. So that's how the elevator consciousness works. You can actually just be at a state of loving awareness, or then you can just come back down and experience yourself fighting for one side and experiencing yourself that way. And then Noreen, I'm viewing the world as a beacon to serve the universe's vision, though I know simultaneously that it's also just me. But I'm also not just me. I'm the microcosm of cells and bacteria of tissue cells. Yeah, because inside of us, it's like there's even smaller fractals of the macro. So you have the cells, like you said, and if you can understand that, then you can feel this greater connection to everything. Noreen, isn't my husband interested in transhumanism? I don't think so. I think he's more into the idea of technology, because he was really into physics and science. So I think he's just more into the idea of allowing technology to enhance you somehow. So in some way, I guess you would call it transhumanist, but it's more, I guess, if his theme is life, that's how he sees transhumanism. Do you understand? So this is why we have so many different perspectives. We can take one idea like transhumanism, and we can then see what our theme is of the world and the universe, and we can apply it to that one word. So my husband sees that life is actually involved in moving everything, I guess, towards transhumanism. That's his theme. I see, because my theme is love, I see that transhumanists really want to help evolve others. They're trying, it's coming from a good place to help humanity evolve. Whether it works all the time, I'm not sure, but my theme is love, so I understand the transhumanists. So it's really just, you could basically take any ideology or anything on this planet now and understand your theme, and then how you perceive it through that theme, and understand why different perspectives are there. It's because we're quite literally seeing a different universe because we are experiencing our own universe. But at least we have the unifying field of the 11th dimension to pull us back together. Yes, there's more than one verse, Maya. Yes, there's infinite universes. That's what the infinite universe theory is about. There is always more than one, and yes, there's more than one universe to our own, but the one that we're focusing right now, like you as Maya in this body and this experience, your life is focusing on that experience of the universe. And I am in this body focusing on this experience of the universe. So yes, there is multi-dimensional aspects of universes and infinite universes, but what we focus on is really the determining factor of where we are consciously. Timothy, enigmatic, decocahedron, welcome. Harmonyverse. So your experience is like harmony, and seeing how everything is cooperating and working together. So that's your theme, and then your antagonist would be the discord, maybe the division, or seeing how things actively don't want to work together. There I am. All right, everyone. So sorry about that. I don't know exactly what happened, but I am going to get going. Think about your theme of the universe and let that, I guess, give you the reason why you may be experiencing your life as you are. And remember, themes can always change and you can always rewrite your story. And I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great night, and